Hey friends, it's me, Pastor Doug, with another word of encouragement for the day for today, Monday, January 10th. And today's word comes out of the book of Matthew, chapter 11, verses 28 through 30. And in it, we read a surprising and even counterintuitive truth about following Jesus. Jesus himself says it this way. He says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." He says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." I love this. Friends, there's a couple of things that we ought to notice about this passage. The first of which is this idea of a yoke. Now, obviously, Jesus is not talking about an egg yolk. He's talking about it's a farming term. He's talking about that big piece of wood that would yoke two animals together as they would plow a field. And for us, we go, well, gosh, that doesn't sound restful at all. But that word yoke was also used as an expression, a figure of speech, to describe the set of teachings of a particular rabbi, the set of teachings and instructions that a particular teacher would espouse and embody. And so what Jesus is saying is, he's saying, listen, if you follow me, if you take on my yoke, in other words, if you listen to what I'm teaching and you put my teachings into practice, then you will find rest. Now, friends, I don't know about you, but that's not my early experience with Christianity. For years, as a follower of Jesus, particularly before I began to follow Jesus, but even into many years into following Jesus, I imagined Christianity to really be about a list of rules of what I'm supposed to do and what I'm not supposed to do. You know, you're not allowed to say these words, you're not allowed to go these places, you're not allowed to smoke this or drink that or do these things, but then there's this whole other list over here of things that you're supposed to do. And I just remember, even though people would tell me, you know, Christianity is not a religion, it's a relationship. It's all about your relationship with Jesus. Even though I heard that message, really when I boiled it all down, Christianity still seemed to me like a list of things not to do and a list of things to do. And I remember early on, it just felt kind of stressful. Like, man, there's all this stuff I'm not supposed to do, and I got to be careful not to do this and careful not to do that. And then there's all this stuff that I am supposed to do. And I just remember it felt like this standard that I could never quite measure up to, these expectations that I could never quite meet. And it felt like there were these, handful of super Christians around me that, prayed all the time and read the Bible from cover to cover every year. And they seemed like they were these spiritual giants, and I could never quite measure up. And I just remember feeling like kind of a second-class Christian. Like there were these handful of people that really nailed it, knocked it out of the park. They were kind of the elite. And then there was just kind of the rest of us who got it right some days and didn't get it right other days. And I just remember feeling really stressed about that and really overwhelmed and burdened. But that's not what Jesus describes. Jesus describes the act of following him as something that brings rest, not stress. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not work involved. It doesn't mean that there aren't disciplines involved, but it does mean that ultimately following Jesus ought to lead us to a place of rest and joy and fulfillment and flourishing, not a place of stress and pressure and striving to sort of meet these external expectations. Friends, this week, we at Ventura Missionary Church are launching an initiative that we're calling I Dare You. And the whole premise behind this is that we're going to put into practice over the next 6 weeks, 6 practices that we think will lead to you and I becoming closer to God. That's really what I want. That's what I want for me. That's what I want for you. I want for us to experience life the way that it was designed to be experienced, in intimacy and closeness with God. And there are some practices that we're going to try out for the next 6 weeks, and I'm going to be inviting you to try these things with us. And we're going to put into practice some things that I think will lead to a deeper relationship with you and God, with me and with God. And friends, my prayer is that these practices wouldn't lead to stress. They'd actually lead to rest. They'd lead to joy. They'd lead to fulfillment and flourishing exactly the way that Jesus described. So let me read to you one more time the words of Jesus as he says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke, take my teachings upon you, and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Friends, I look forward to this journey with you over these next 6 weeks. Have a great day. We'll pick it up tomorrow, and we'll keep talking about where we're headed over these next few weeks. We'll see you then.